start talking.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Mike Brancatelli here, host of the Micadelic Podcast, and you're watching The System Is Down, AntiNews Live, the best anti-news news show in the history of anti-news news shows. Because honestly, what else are you going to do these days? You're going to turn on cable news, listen to a bunch of old gray-haired dinosaurs that talk like robots to try and make you brain dead and fall asleep? Hi, welcome to the news. Today, we're going to lie to you 24/7. Exactly. So, cut your cable, cut your cord, take your television, throw it out the window, go streaking down your neighborhood block and say, AntiNews Live is on. Stay tuned.
What's that? It sounds like a revolution. I don't know.
It does sound like a revolution.
I don't know if that's what's happening here. What do you mean you no harm? Except for emotionally.
Mostly emotionally.
Mostly. All the emotions. We hope they all
I just want to say, that's got to be the best promo for any podcast I've ever heard.
Yeah, I know. I hit up a couple different people, asking them if they'd give us a little bit of filler that YouTube won't kick to the curb, and told them, just say something like, "Hi, this is so and so from whatever you're working on. You're watching AntiNews Live." That's it. And then he gave me all that, so that's pretty sweet. I was like, dude, that's freaking fantastic. But Yeah, you'll be seeing a couple other new stingers tonight as we slowly build our repertoire of things that we can use that YouTube does not have a problem with yet. But they might.
The anti-newsiest anti-news of the anti-news.
That's right. Of all
that you'll ever
anti-newses.
experience.
Yes, absolutely.
I did like when he's talking about what else are you going to do? Listen to all the other stuff that's going to tell you a bunch of lies?
Right, exactly. Yep, absolutely. Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Anti-News. It's Monday night. You know what that means. Monday night is when we all get together for a nice, lovely, beautiful weather and sit indoors on our computers, talking to each other through text and Skype.
And data. Do you realize we are only communicating because of ones and zeros?
It's the Matrix, one way or another.
I got to actually thinking today, I want to get this in at 9/11, but I got to thinking today about, I can't even remember what the whole thought process was as I was driving, but I was thinking about something, how I used to run out of data, but now I have unlimited data on my phone. Then I got to thinking that they charge extra for you to have extra ones and zeros tacked on.
Yeah.
They charge. The reason why I upped to unlimited data is because I would get an overdraft fee of ones and zeros. Is what the thought process went through my head.
You're taking too many of their ones and zeros.
Yes. So this imaginary concept of data, which is just yeses and nos, I took too many of them, and they charged me extra. So now I would pay more for an unlimited amount of yeses and nos or ones and zeros.
Right. Yeah, I've always thought that it's strange. I mean, it's probably like, well, you paid your extra $50 a month, so now we're going to flip this switch that does absolutely nothing. It just means we stop charging you at a certain point. It doesn't make it go faster. It doesn't give you anything else. It just makes it so we don't complain as much.
Right.
But to those who are new here, we've got quite a few people chiming in, which is fantastic. If you're new here, if you're watching on Twitter or on Facebook or anywhere like that, head on over to, I know this seems sacrilegious, but head on over to YouTube, and you can chat on the little sidebar, not underneath, over in the sidebar, and we can see all those. And sometimes we'll respond to them if we're having time and we're feeling salty. But this is the Anti-News, where we drink some drinks and smoke some smokes and chat about everything that's supposedly happening in the world today. If you're new, there's a number down at the bottom that you can call into. This is a call-in show, just like the good old days, only instead of our basements. Well, I think, Craig, you're in your basement, right?
I am in my basement.
Nice. Just like a perfect conspiracy-minded beard neck.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm
Here's
actually...
beard neck.
I'm in my upstairs, but, just like the good old days of the call-in crazy radio conspiracy shows. That's basically what we're doing here. And around 11 o'clock, we kick off the official show and kick out of this pre-show nonsense of just warming up our vocal cords. But Craig, what are you drinking? What are you smoking?
I am drinking coffee with half and half right now. That is all.
You're boring.
I have an IPA on standby for me once the coffee's gone.
In the batter's cage?
Exactly. I am smoking what I call the leftover blend. That is all the little small amounts that are too few to smoke on their own in the bottom of the bags, all mixed together to make one super blend of its own.
Some lawn trimmings to fill in the gaps.
Some sawdust, coffee grounds.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, I have smoked all three of those out of a pipe before.
Awesome. Well, I'm drinking my usual Dr. Pepper. It's flat this time with vodka. If you would like to buy a 40% ABV The System Is Down coffee mug, go to tsidpod.com/shop, but who cares?
I failed to mention this smaller version of a Gandalf pipe.
Uh-huh.
This was handcrafted by myself, so
that's impressive.
This is a special pipe for me.
That's impressive. Smoking what your own two hands made.
Mm-hmm.
Very classy, very nice. All right, guys, I see you commenting in the comments section. That's fantastic. We'll get into a couple of them later, probably. But we've got a whole bunch of news to cover tonight, so we might have to burn through quite a bit. But you're gonna be getting your money's worth. So stick around. We're gonna kick off the 9/11 dance party here in about 10 seconds, and then we're going to jump into the official show. So prepare yourselves for that. All right, let's do this.
All I ask is, if we have
over
to
already?
give these bastards our lives, we give them hell before we do.
The tragedy of our day is the climate of fear in which we live.
Talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing.
But ask the congressman to withdraw that comment and tell us that he didn't really mean that. I don't know what I said. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
The Bible commands that certain people be put to death.
These were possessing weapons of mass destruction.
9/11 attacks were carried out by Al-Qaeda.
Handle the truth.
I remember that with that smoke. We are still here.
We have to say yes to social justice.
No. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
I don't know about you. That music gets me pumped.
Which one? The 9/11 dance party music or the...
Well, obviously the dance party music, but
Gets me all jazzed up.
The intro music there, that intro video gets me super pumped.
Yeah, I feel like I might eventually have to change the dance party music because the guy who agreed to let me use his music, I'm not sure if he knew that he was agreeing to let his music be used for the 9/11 dance party every Monday night.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You don't think that we're doing his music justice?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if ever... I mean, the amount of people that would be totally fine with their music being used exclusively for a 9/11 dance party on a conspiracy show. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway.
I mean, can we like name off a few bands that would be okay with that?
If
I bet you
would
Corey
like to spend our time
Feldman's band would be okay with that.
Probably. Maybe Rage Against the Machine if they got red pilled on the on the topic.
Yeah, I would definitely think so.
All right, so let's jump into some news. Like I said, we've got a million things to cover tonight. Trenton Campbell says, "Hi, Dad." Dad? I thought he meant hi, Dan. The first time I read it, it said hi, Dan, but it says hi, Dad.
I mean, is there something that you want to discuss with us, considering Trenton's our cousin?
Nope.
And you're his dad?
Nope. Welcome to Illinois. Nick Tucker says, if you want to use a metalcore song, my band would be cool with it. Absolutely, Nick Tucker. We're open to anything. We are always taking submissions for songs. If you want it to be used, you can send it to dan@tsidpod.com. So go send me that. We'll check it out, and we might use it sometime. But yeah, cool. So let's jump into some real news. I'll kick it. How many stories do you have? Because I've got way too many, so I should probably. I
always have a collective, and then I just pick and choose as the night progresses, and feel it out as we go. Because then whatever ones we don't use, I use in the after party. So.
Well, I think we both had the same first story anyway. So you had Beyonce's witchcraftery, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, well, I will start this then. Beyonce's ex-husband... Okay.
Starting off great.
Beyonce's ex-band member accuses singer of reported, quote, extreme witchcraft, end quote. Beyonce has found herself in some brouhaha, which is a word that a reporter used, from Fox News, no less. Brouhaha, you're definitely making yourself sound like old white people. But Beyonce's former drummer, Kimberly Thompson...
It's like the guy, remember that guy that was trying to explain the Q phenomenon? That was like, they're considered drops.
Right.
Just like some old guy trying to use hip terminology.
Like the kids say, drops. Those drops were totally fire, brah. Beyonce has found herself in some wacky shenanigans. Beyonce's former drummer, Kimberly Thompson, requested a restraining order against her because she claimed the singer practices, quote, extreme witchcraft, the blast reported.
The extreme witchcraft.
What?
I said unlike the not extreme witchcraft?
Right, not just your run-of-the-mill witchcraft, just the extreme kind. Which apparently, like, her dog or her cat died or something? I'll keep going. I'm sure it's in here.
Keep going. It's in there.
According to the lawsuit, Beyonce has allegedly been using her magic to run surveillance and control Thompson's fiancés. Fiancés? Plural? Okay. Or no, finances. Good Lord.
Do you want to just start over?
Maybe you should take this one. Thompson also claimed that the, quote, Lemonade singer started a campaign of harassment against her, which includes dark magic and magic spells of sexual molestation. She also alleged Bey murdered her kitten. A judge denied Thompson's request for a restraining order. Neither Beyonce is the rep. Who cares? Blah, blah, blah. So her kitten died. It says she also alleged Bey murdered her kitten. Does that mean with witchcraft or like...
That's what I was wondering. Did she strangle her kitten or did she use her witchcraft? Because those are two completely different accusations.
Sexual witchcraft. Also, here's your dead kitten.
And she broke my cat's neck.
Like that's a different thing. That's a little less arguable. So what's your take on this? Do you buy it?
Well, I actually read the story sitting around the office the day that I sent it to you, I think, or we just kind of talked about it on Facebook. I read it to a couple people, and they're like, oh, haha, that's funny. Who's this crazy person? I was like, I would feel the same way, except it's Beyonce. And they're like, what does that mean? I was like, that doesn't surprise me at all with Beyonce.
Right.
I was like, she's already has so much like cultic rumors and Illuminati rumors surrounding her. I was like, I wouldn't put it past her. I was like, and her husband's pretty much like the king of the Illuminati. So, I could see it. And they're like, oh, I never thought that about Beyonce. I was like, man, you gotta open your eyes.
Nobody ever seems to, like, for some reason everybody sees Beyonce as this very milquetoast, like simple, just pop star. But it's like, look at the circle she runs in, like Jay-Z's history and some of the symbolism, especially in like Super Bowl halftime shows and shit like that. It's like, if you notice any of that stuff, this story is suddenly like, yeah, okay. Like, I wasn't that surprised. I was surprised that anybody was reporting on it. But I reached out to the girl who claimed it, whose name I don't remember, Kim something, I believe. Can't remember her name, but I reached out to her and said, hey, I do believe you. I'm sure a lot of people are thinking that this is just a clickbait, funny story, but I find it pretty believable, and I wouldn't be that surprised if some of this brouhaha was happening.
Right. Her crazy shenanigans that she's involved in.
Yes.
Let me see if I had the same exact... I must have closed it because you had it, so never mind. Oh, nope, here it is. Let me see if I had the same story as you. Was yours from The Blast?
Mine was Fox News. The Blast is the original.
Oh, okay. All right, so women... Yeah. Mine doesn't say brouhaha, so it might be a little more legitimate.
With a name like The Blast, they've got to be super, like, edgy and, like, current.
Thompson believes Beyonce has been taping her phones or tapping her phones. It says taping her phones and controlling her finances. I think you said that.
They're doing just as well as I am tonight.
Right. Which either one, I guess, makes sense in that. So,
yeah, Yeah, fiancés does not make sense.
She also posted a YouTube video recently talking about mean people and appears to be disheveled and erratic. Yeah, this is the part that gets me the most is that
Here
they're
we go.
making this person, they're really pushing this girl to be crazy.
Yeah, you're gonna
like
look
they're pushing
for
her off
every
as,
drunken Twitter or anything, like every drunken tweet or every video posted. They're gonna scrutinize the hell out of it to make her look insane. Maybe
Right,
she
the
is.
only-
I don't know. Maybe she's taking a Scott Stapp turn and she's a little off her rocker and just grasping for attention. I mean, we're
You talking the
conspiracy
drummer
people.
or
I'm talking the
Beyonce?
drummer. I'm talking the drummer. Like, it's possible that she could just be stretching for attention here. I mean, if the accusations are true, then this has been going on for probably a long time, and nobody else has said anything.
well,
I'm not saying
can
she's
you-
not true, but I could believe that she might just be stretching here after she read some conspiracy stuff or something.
Okay, just imagine how close like bandmates get with even like Beyonce's bandmates. I mean, they might not have the bonding that like a full-time band would have with each other, but still they see all sides of the performer and
Right.
the bandmates and stuff.
They
So
probably don't
if,
see a ton of her, but they at least know her well enough, like they've done practices and stuff together,
Mm-hmm.
probably in a very professional, you come in, you play your part, you get out type of manner, but...
right, but she's seen more than we've seen.
Oh, for sure.
And we've seen some creepy shit that we consider to be weird. So if there is some weird stuff going on, this girl's probably seen some shit. And for them to just, if she got fired, say she was fired on bad terms, doesn't surprise me she'd come out and be like, this woman is crazy and she's a witch.
Right.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. But yeah, like you said, they're going to start looking for ways to make her look crazy, even if she's not. But the only scrutiny they have so far is she also posted a video on YouTube talking about mean people and appears disheveled and erratic.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that everybody on YouTube?
Right.
Don't we appear to be disheveled and erratic right now?
Hold on.
I'm not going to even bother. You're disheveled. Now be erratic. Talk about mean people.
I'm disheveled and erratic. Beyonce's a witch.
Mean people. You forgot mean people.
Oh, and all the bullies, mean people. I forgot to mention the word of the day for this episode is penis. Just so you know. I don't know why. This was not intentional, but a whole lot of my stories involve penises. Not this one.
Okay.
But stay tuned.
Now, rewind and do it like Pee Wee Herman.
Our word of the day is penises. My kid's sleeping in the next room, so I don't want to be too flamboyant here. Otherwise, I'd go all out.
Dad, why did you say...
You said the magic word. All right. I also forgot to. I usually bring up the current entertainment news, which has just been about Eminem for the last couple of weeks. I usually bring that up in the pre-show because it doesn't really warrant the official show notice, but we didn't get to it, so I'm going to cover that real quick right now too. There's not a ton here, but did you hear like the latest that's going on with this? Are you following this at all?
For which story?
The Eminem and MGK thing?
No, I just get my updates from you.
All right, that's fine. I'm sure a lot of people do, which is great, which means that I have purpose in life. But
Your only purpose in life.
I think we touched on speculation about whether or not this was like planned for. Both of these guys are on
Right.
the same record label, so it's beneficial to the record label for these guys to be feuding. It's beneficial to each one of them and both of them for them to be feuding because Eminem kind of plateaued for a while in the last few albums. MGK has been plateaued for most of his career, and this has just bumped both of them up.
Right.
This week, after, Eminem, just to recap real quick, Eminem on his latest album called out MGK. MGK, 4 days later, wrote back a diss track called Rap Devil, and then Eminem wrote back a diss track maybe a week and a half later called Kill Shot. All very good stuff. Made me hyped for all of it. But MGK just now releases what he's calling an EP, even though it's 9 songs. But he released a new album on iTunes called Binge. I think that's what it's called, Binge. And the whole thing is complete and utter garbage.
Really?
Yes. I haven't given it a huge listen, but just skimming through, I mean, I did exactly what everybody else did that's going to skyrocket his numbers on this album. I cycled through to see if he had any call-outs to Eminem, like any more tracks. Because in an interview about Eminem's response, MGK said something like, man, I had a track all written, ready to go, and ready to respond. And he was like, I had the gun out like this. And then I heard that track, I just put it away. Because I was like, man, this album's coming out, this EP is going to drop, and I'll just save it for that. But then there's not a single mention of Eminem other than Rap Devil on the album. And in the interview, he's like, yeah, Eminem called me a mumble rapper and this and that. The dude's just so old, he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't even know what mumble rap is. Dude mumbles a shit ton on this album. Like,
I was going to say, did he mumble that line when he said it?
Well, in that interview, he said things like, yeah, Eminem stutters and blah, blah, blah. Like, he made fun of Eminem for stuttering. And then some guy took the whole interview and took every single time MGK stuttered in every comment and put it in a row. I don't know. The whole thing's entertaining. It could be very much a setup, like a WWE, WWF type dealio, where it's like, we're against each other, but we're both benefiting. That's totally possible. I don't really care. If they're giving me entertaining content, that's all I care about for the most part. But him releasing this album so soon after and it not having anything to do with that makes me think that it's not like rapper collusion. Because otherwise, you would think he would have something way more solid to put out there. Like, if he's gonna, it just feels like he dropped this immediately because he's just like, you know what? I've got this little glimmer of fame for a second. Let me put this out and see how well it does. Did you hear any of that while you had your headphones off?
Yeah, I got them loud enough I could hear. They were twisted up and it's bothering me.
Gotcha.
At least I muted the mic before I did that, but.
Mm-hmm. And you remember turning it back on for the first time ever.
I almost forgot, but I was just going to say, I think, like, do you think he had this album in the works already, or do you think he overly rushed it as a response to all this? Like,
it's hard to say. Like, I could go both ways, and I've heard reasoning for both. Like, he said that he's been working on it for like 6 months now, and it had nothing to do with all this. It was planned to come out. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, even if he's been working on it 6 months, that doesn't necessarily mean he didn't rush to release it.
Right.
Like, get it thrown together and skip some, like, cut some corners and stuff to get it released. Now that his hype is up, this would be what some people would think would be the prime time to release it because his hype is all up.
Yeah, it's definitely not by accident that it was released now. Whether or not it was planned to be released now, I'm guessing it probably wasn't planned to be released now. I'm guessing it had nothing to do with this feud. He didn't, like, write the whole thing last minute. I've heard some people be like, oh, he wrote it in the last 2 weeks just so we could have something to put out. If he was going to do that, it would definitely... Like, what's on his mind? He would definitely have said something about Eminem in the album.
Right.
Right. So I think it was, like, in the works. And he's like, I've got some fame for a second. Let's drop this thing, as the kids say, and see what happens. And I've not heard anybody say anything kind about it. So
his producers were probably like, dude, we haven't even, like, mastered this yet. I don't care. My hype's up. We got to release it now.
He's not wrong. I would have done the same. I'd be like, screw it. I'll make other albums. Put this one out right now.
We have 4 songs to finish yet. Well, you better finish them today.
Well, it's a 9-song EP, so he could have cut those 4 songs out if that were the case.
That's true.
But
yeah, that is kind of excessive to be considered an EP. But then you can throw an EP on there, and so if it does kind of suck or it's kind of raw, you could be like, dude, it was an EP. Wait till the LP releases. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Also, on that story, I forgot to mention last week in Eminem's Kill Shot response, he said something about Diddy is like P. Diddy or Puff Daddy or whatever his name is. He goes by Diddy now.
Sean Combs.
He's like kind of the overseer of MGK. And Eminem took a shot at him and said something to the effect of, the next time you get a hit will be the day that Diddy admits that he had something to do with getting Pac killed or something like that. I totally forgot to bring that up. That's pretty big that he called him out, and then at the end he says, I'm just kidding, Diddy, you know I love you, or something like that. But the fact that
just because you say with all due respect doesn't mean you can say whatever you want.
Well, he's done that on many other songs before, like White America. He blasts America the whole time, then he says, just kidding, America, you know I love you. So it's kind of his thing to, like, tear somebody apart, and then...
That makes everything okay. If you say, I'm kidding!
Well, it's kind of like an out the side of your mouth apology type thing. Like, don't really mean it. Whatever. But yeah, Diddy responded in an interview. He doesn't really make music of his own anymore, so he responded in an interview, and he said something to the effect of, "Don't worry, I'm going to take care of it." It's like, what does that mean? The guy who's
he doesn't
being accused of getting pot killed is saying, "I'll take care of it," and he's not talking about a diss track.
Right. Yeah, I don't see Sean Combs stooping to the level to release a diss track anytime soon on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he hasn't put out an album in how many years? So you think he's going to be like,
right.
Look, I'm going to respond to Eminem's diss. No.
Right.
It's like, just wait. I've got people.
Yep. So that's it for that. I don't really care to dig too much more into that.
I would like to see Eminem and MGK literally on WWE fighting it out.
Or literally like rap battle face to face like the good old days.
WWE would be way better.
While rap battling.
There you go.
All right. Let's move on. We'll let you get into your first. And before we do that, reminder, call in 309-716-3818. And yeah, when you do, we'll kick Craig out of here and get your question, because you're more important than Craig. So feel free to call in at any point in time and comment on the sidebar on YouTube in the chat section. Craig, what you got?
I've got a few. None of them really tie in, so I'm just gonna do the roulette game and pick one. This one is about top celebrity, former talk show host.
Top celebrity?
Comedian. High A-list celebrity. Talk show host, comedian, whatever they call female comedians.
I think they're called comedianettes.
Comedettes. Gay rights activist, political commentary. Rosie O'Donnell.
I haven't heard from her in a while.
I know. She's trying to jump back in the limelight with all the rest of the people that think that they
Only
need
Rosie
to
O'Donnell.
stay there. Only. Rosie, she's the best lesbian ever. Rosie O'Donnell calls on senior.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen is awesome, by the way.
Go on.
Can't even compare. I think, didn't Ellen start on Rosie? Possibly.
I have no idea.
Anyway, Rosie O'Donnell calls on senior GOP politicians to retire and says, "We don't let the 85-year-olds carve the turkey." Rosie O'Donnell took to Twitter to mock the age of prominent Republicans, unlike the age of prominent Democrats out there.
How old is Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Like 1 million?
Right. Collectively,
or Hillary Clinton?
I think if you added up like the top 10 senators on either side, you'd probably like date back to the time of Jesus if you added all their dates up together. Says Rosie O'Donnell took to Twitter to mock the age of prominent Republicans, calling on Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley and Senator Orrin Hatch, Republican from Utah, to retire despite lefty leaders being the same age. This is Fox News, so it's going to be very right biased, by the way.
Yeah.
Grassley and Hatch, too old. They should be done. Come on. At Thanksgiving, we don't let 85-year-olds carve the turkey.
No, but we allow them to show up and talk.
Right. And if the 85-year-old insists on carving the turkey, there's a good chance I'm going to let him carve the turkey, because I'm not going to step in front of an 85-year-old man with a carving knife.
Right. Ben Panji, I think is how his name is pronounced. I have said it many times on the show and never know if I'm right. But Ben says she may be old, but when she takes those dentures out, ... Ben, call in and let us know what happened. Let us know the backstory and let me know how to pronounce your name at 309-716-3818. All right, Craig, continue.
Let's take a poll. Is it Pangy or Pangy? I'm going with Pangy.
Yes, this is a democracy. We all get to choose how your name is pronounced, Ben. And is it Ben or is it Bean? Who knows?
Hatch, the Senate President pro tempore and third in presidential line of succession behind Vice President Mike Pence and House Speaker Paul Ryan, I don't care, and Grassley are two of the GOP's most prominent members. Polls, including O'Donnell, are currently upset that many Republicans continue to support Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh amid sexual allegations. or sexual harassment allegations. Grassley is 85, Hatch is 84, but several prominent Democrats are in the same age range. This is a big nothing sandwich after that, but it does go on to say that Dianne Feinstein is 85, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who you were talking about, is 85. Maxine Waters, who is always in the limelight for a Democrat side, is 80. Nancy Pelosi is 78. Bernie Sanders is a spry 77 years old.
Spry.
That's what it says.
Spry 77. Bernie Sanders is a spry 15 to 20 years away from death.
Says 2014 poll showed the average retirement age is 62. O'Donnell is 56, has a decades-old feud with Trump, and has been an outspoken critic of the administration. Some of her followers were offended by her call for the older Republicans to retire. So she is merely 6 years to retirement age herself. And she's equally as washed up because she hasn't done anything that I'm aware of for 10 years that is worth noting.
I have no idea.
For her to I mean, her in comedian age is probably like 105 because.
Oh yeah, but by her point, by her stage in life, if you're not somebody like George Carlin or somebody that's like timeless and has a thing, like how many Rosie O'Donnell stand-up shows have you seen ever in your life? Like, how is she still a thing? She's not acting. She's not, as far as I know, she doesn't have a show, and she's not doing stand-up comedy to my knowledge. What is she doing other than saying, hey, remember me? I also don't like Trump.
I want to say she may have been on The View for a while. Yeah, she was, because during the Trump thing, she like got in the spats back and forth, and they ended up letting her go, I think, because she just...
Wasn't that the thing where Trump said, they were like, you've called women fat and ugly and blah, 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 just Rosie O'Donnell. Maybe, was she still on during that point?
That sounds about right. I think that's what it was, and then they had a Twitter battle back and forth. Twiddle batter. Back and forth. And she, not long after, ended up leaving. I don't know if it's because of that or not, but she was way more even outspoken than Whoopi and Joy and the rest of the hags that still make up that show, which those women on that show that she participated in, they've got to be pushing close to that same age. Yeah. They've got to be in their, like, I don't know what Whoopi is, but she's got to be late 60s, I would think.
They're all washed up. Like, we have nothing better to do than literally their job, their occupation is professional old biddy. Like, just, why don't we get like 4 to 5 elderly women together and see what they think about the world? Who cares what they think about the world?
Not just elderly women, but elderly women that have no concept of the real world and haven't dealt with the real world in at least 55 years themselves. And so,
how many middle-class people do you think are on that panel there?
Right. The closest one was the Republican Candace Cameron. I would think she would be the closest to middle class because she probably made a buck or two in Full House, but what has she done since then besides The View?
Who was she in Full House?
She was DJ, the oldest daughter.
Weird.
And that's our very own favorite Kirk Cameron's sister, by the way. I don't know if you realize that.
Weird.
Yeah. So she's very Republican conservative, and they had her on for here and there, and they just stomped all over her face all the time.
Why would anybody even agree to go to do that show?
Especially as even a moderate. Like, why would you, as a moderate, decide, I could be the voice of reason there? It's like, no, they're just going to smash you and sit on your face and just be hags.
Right.
I don't know. They're just like old lady hecklers and like gossip queens that sit around in their big floppy hats and like
with their big floppy hats.
I don't know. You just think of the old lady gossips that just sit around and just do exactly that. Right. That's what you get the View panel is.
Right. That show is literally like the group of old biddies who go to like the diner at like 6 o'clock in the morning just so they can gossip about the locals. But they're bigger, so they gossip about the locals, as in everybody in the United States. But Thought and Conduct just chimed in and said, just finished the show. I'm assuming his show, not our show. But he said, do you guys think the reason we are seeing so much media propaganda on Brett Kavanaugh is because he could possibly be the key to lock away the deep state saboteurs? I don't. Personally, and this kind of segues into, I mean, we have to talk about the Kavanaugh thing. There's not a ton to say about it, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think the fact that he's a Republican is all it takes these days. Like, that's all you need to have somebody say you're a rapist, you're a homophobe, a pedophile, you're this, you're that, whatever. That's all it takes. Not saying that he's any of those things, but for those that don't know, Craig, you're familiar with the Kavanaugh story, the latest in the news, correct?
Yes.
Do you want to read it, or do you want to just break it down? Because it's pretty simple.
I don't have a story in front of me. I do have a related story that I want to touch on involving it here in a second. But to break it down, basically, 6 months ago now, 6 months ago, Justice, was it Kennedy that resigned? Yeah. Justice Kennedy resigned, and it was a big ordeal because this is going to be Donald Trump's second, I think, Supreme Court justice pick nominee, and that would basically secure, because how the Supreme Court works, for those who may not know, I'm not trying to make people belittle people, but for people who don't know, they're not elected, they're appointed, and then they just stay in as long as they want indefinitely until they either die or retire, which usually the former happens, not the latter, unless
that whole system is, in my opinion, totally screwed up.
I agree.
They're appointed and they get to stay until they want to leave.
And I said, the only time
arguments, but it makes no sense.
The only time they actually resign, from what I understand, is if they are medically incapable of fulfilling their duties, or if it's a big political scheme so that you can, say the person's on your side, the president is on your side of the fence, and your time is getting close within the next 5 or 6 years anyway, that you're going to be stepping down. Why not resign now so your guy can put in who he wants, versus waiting till you die and taking the risk of the next guy being a Democrat or somebody that doesn't stand for the same things that you stand for. So I think the whole Kennedy thing, stepping down, was definitely intentional. Obviously it was intentional, but it was definitely timed intentionally. He stepped down conveniently far enough before the midterm elections that we have a Republican Senate right now, and there's the possibility that could flip here in a couple weeks in November. And so because the Senate has to do the confirmation hearings and approve of the nomination, so he stepped down far enough back that it wouldn't cross over into that election time. But lo and behold, just as they're about to appoint this guy, just as well, first of all, initially, as soon as the day that Donald Trump was going to announce his, and we talked about this on here, the day he was going to announce his pick, they were already protesting before they even knew who the pick was. They had multiple signs boxed up and we just posted pictures of it. No, they had each name. They had talking points for each person that they thought might be it, and they had boycott so-and-so, boycott. They had a different sign for each person.
Well,
so that way when they...
that was for the last one. For this one, I'm pretty sure I've seen things, I could be wrong, but I think there's things circulating where, news articles where they have the article all written up, but then they just have the name asterisk.
Yeah, it was the same one. It was the news articles were that way, and they forgot to change the asterisks in it. But the people outside protesting had multiple different signs just in case, and they were getting ready to protest regardless of who it was. And I don't even know if Kavanaugh was even on the list, if they had his sign or not. But either way, they were ready for it, and they were going to protest regardless of who it was. Yeah. And so that brings us to a couple weeks ago now, right before they were just virtually on the verge of
I think
confirming
this was
him.
the last week and a half, isn't it? Because it was just unfolding right before last week's episode, and we didn't get to it.
Yeah, it's very shortly ago. Just before, they were shortly ago. It's a specific measure of time.
Right.
Just before longly ago.
20 years from now, when Disney has made 150 new Star Wars movies, it'll open with shortly ago in a galaxy distant from here.
So anyway, right before they were getting ready to confirm, this woman, this doctor, I can't think of her name. What's her name? Doctor.
Bitch face.
Wow. Tell us how you really feel. Christine Blasey Ford. She's a professor, a college professor, and a doctor of sorts. I don't know what she is, but
like Dr. Seuss is a doctor.
Exactly. And
just
Dr.
makes
Phil's
things up.
A doctor. Anyway, she came out and declared that Brett Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her at a party back in the 80s in college when he would have been like 17, I think they said. And the funny part is, well, there's multiple funny parts. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I'm going to say it's pretty fishy because she can't remember when it happened. She can't remember where it happened, like where she was at the time. She remembers that she had a bikini on with a dress over it, so she thinks it was probably at a country club pool party or something of sorts.
How wasted were you? You don't remember what she didn't remember what. I'm pretty sure I could be totally wrong.
She doesn't even remember what year it was,
city it was in, what year it was, who else was there, anything,
but
nothing. I'm not saying that she's a liar, but I'm saying as far as the court goes, which is what we take as law. She's a liar.
She's got nothing. Even if she's not a liar, she's got no leg to stand on. Absolutely nothing. Yet, without a leg, she's insisting that the FBI investigate into this before the confirmation hearings take place.
Right.
And this has been just a big ordeal in Congress. They try to move forward with the things, and then you get Democrats like, well, we can't because we got all this information we got to read through, and you're rushing through this. You're just trying. We have these letters. We have this information. We got to keep going. We got to look into this. And I don't know if you've heard the tapes of this, the recordings of this. It is just a freaking circus. It is ridiculous. Mr. So-and-so, Mr. Chairman, we got to look into this. And he'd start to talk and be like, Mr. So-and-so, I really think we got to. It's like, just back and forth.
If you're going to come up with a story, I mean, I don't feel like it'd be that hard to fabricate this and get some people around you that can say that they were witnesses if you had to do that. But
there was a person who's like, I remember, a classmate that's like, I remember hearing about this. I don't know if she said she was at the party, but she was supposedly in the school. And then all these newsies jumped on it and started like giving her all this national attention and stuff. And finally she pulls back and she's like, I'm not sure if this happened. I want people to stop interviewing me.
All right.
She just like completely backpedaled.
I'm saying she's a liar. I didn't even know that. Like the one witness you had backs down when she finally starts getting questioned about it.
Hundreds of classmates are supporting her and signed a petition to support her. Like over 200 classmates signed.
There's a ton of people signing a petition for Kavanaugh too. Like the same people.
That does not mean that they say that it happened. They're just saying they support it.
Right.
They support what she's doing. And
in what way? In what way do you support it? Like I think it was from. I like to quote people when I can because these aren't all my original thoughts, but I think it was from Louder with Crowder. He was like, the hashtag MeToo movement is no longer a movement, it's a tool. Like it's this tool that we can use against people. We don't want him in there. We don't have to have any evidence at all. And just like Norm Macdonald got in trouble for saying, like at what point is it his word versus her word, and at what whose word are you taking over the other? Because that's all this is. It's not even like he shouldn't even have to defend himself in this. If she can't give a single detail as to what happened, then why should he even have to defend himself? It's just her shouting in the wind, and it's not just going to keep him out of the seat. It's going to destroy his whole life just because she insists this happened, and it smells like a big payoff to me.
what part of prove beyond a reasonable doubt is at play here?
You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you're not guilty in this situation.
Right. There is far more evidence that it didn't happen than there is that did, because there's so much doubt and speculation to be had here, because all she can say is, he did this to me. He pinned me down on a bed. I don't even think it says he raped her necessarily, but he attempted to or something. But that's all she's going with. Doesn't know where, when, why, who, what. I'm surprised she knows the who. How does she remember the who if she doesn't remember any of the other details? And her lawyer has said, because a bunch of classmates have come out and been like, well, we were there around such and such. We hung out in the same crowds that she said, or it's the people that she says were in the same group, like hanging out in the same crowds or should have been there. They're like, yeah, we don't remember that happened. And her lawyer's like, well, they wouldn't remember something so far away that had no meaning to them because nothing significant happened to them. But my client had this significant event happen, so she remembers it vividly. But she doesn't remember it vividly.
She doesn't remember the vast majority of it. She doesn't remember. So yeah, your statement falls flat on its face and defeats its own purpose. But yeah, and if I don't know about you, but if I witnessed somebody who, against their will, was like, I don't know exactly what the allegations were, but was taken away, like even if I had a really good friend and we were hanging out at a bar and that friend was like, let's say a female friend, she was talking to a guy and he seemed like he had ill intentions or whatever, even if she agreed to it, I would remember, like, he convinced her to go back and do this. Like, it doesn't seem like it would be that hard to remember, even if there was no foul play, let alone if she said the next day, hey, which I would assume she would, to at least her very close friends, even if she didn't report it, she would have said, hey, that didn't go so well.
Yeah. That brings me to the one story I did have.
Until he runs
for an office. Yeah. Well, that's what I've heard several different people talking about on podcasts and stuff, is that Brett Kavanaugh was like, he's been a high-profile justice or judge for a long time. He was on the I can't even think, the group that was trying Bill Clinton back in for his Monica Lewinsky blowjob. He was on that committee or whatever you want to call it. Exactly. He was one of Bush's top justices. He wasn't a Supreme Court justice, but he was definitely involved in the Bush administration. He's been a big player for a long time, for decades now.
This isn't the guy who has been working in a factory his whole life, and then when he finally decides to run, he becomes like a Supreme Court justice. And
yeah, it's not like he's been a nobody.
I got to stop him from doing the one and only thing he's done in his life.
It's not like he's been a nobody that, and all of a sudden he comes into the spotlight and she's like, oh yeah, that's the guy. No, he's been around for a while now. He was a known judge in the Clinton trials.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, when this could actually sway votes or sway laws that are formulated or
make you matter as a human.
Yeah, that just kind of, because if the Supreme Court leans more right than left, then more rulings are going to be made towards the right, obviously. And now all of a sudden, because he has this potential to kind of make the Supreme Court lopsided, all of a sudden she comes out and makes these accusations. And it's just, there's no political motivation behind it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings me to the story I did have that came out yesterday.
Hold on. Before we jump into that, why don't we take a quick intermission like we're supposed to at 10? And we'll jump back
covered
into it
like 2 stories.
Yeah, I know. It's because we like to talk. But why don't you give a teaser of the next story? And also, before he gives the teaser, while he's giving it, if you want to call in before the break, you are welcome to do so at 309-716-3818. We've got quite a few people chiming in the chat room, and it's really hard for me to focus on that while talking to Craig, so I haven't been reading, but you guys have a lot to say. Please share your sayings with us, be them relevant or not. But call in right now, or get your phones ready to call in right after the intermission. But Craig, give them a teaser before we jump into intermission and let them know what we're going to be talking about after.
All right. The teaser is the top woman who advocates for women who accuse sexual predators is pushing for the investigation of Brett Kavanaugh. I mean, she's always been a supporter of, especially women who accuse top officials, top government officials. She's always backed them, always.
Tops, not bottoms.
Hillary Clinton is asking the FBI to investigate Brett Kavanaugh.
Surprise, surprise.
Oh, it's so laughable, but we'll wait.
And we're going to call. So, Craig's probably gone. Caller, what's up?
What's up?
What's up? Who am I talking to?
So, yeah,
you can give a fake name.
You said it. You said it right. My name. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, with the Kavanaugh bit, it's Ben. But with the Kavanaugh bit, he did. There was another lady that accused him just recently. Ramirez was her name. I keep because whatever.
Yeah.
But if you look on the New Yorker, they're the ones that ran the story. And I think the story's from, if you go back 2 days ago or a day ago, it quotes it and she didn't remember, so she wasn't comfortable accusing Kavanaugh. But then she went and talked to her for 6 days, and memories became clear, and she felt comfortable going forward with the accusation.
When she was reminded of her memories?
Yes, right, with all that,
Yep.
Sit down, put you in a warm bath of water, and we'll talk about it. But, it's just more fodder, right?
Yep.
Anyway, I wanted, and yes, you said my name correctly. So.
All right, cool, man. Don't mean to call anybody out, but yeah. So, any other thoughts that you want to share?
No, Carlo Rossi is your friend.
Who?
Carlo Rossi.
I don't know who that is.
It's a wine night. It's a Monday night. I'm drinking some wine. It's Carlo.
It's all good, man. I'll talk to you later. It's all good, man. Thank you so much for calling in, Ben. I'll talk to you later. Feel free to call in again later on tonight.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, fellas. Have a good night.
Yep, you too. All right. Let's see if I can get Craig back in here. Craig? Craig, are you there?
Yes.
Hey, that was Ben. Ben, whose last name we apparently pronounced right, but he doesn't seem to want to share it on the air. Sorry, Ben.
Pangy or
Shh.
Panky?
No.
Pinky?
No.
Pinky.
We're past that. Stop it.
Okay.
No, he just called in
Does
to
he
say,
realize his last name pops up on the feed, though?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
He didn't give it on the call, technically, but if somebody wants to do some very minimal investigative research, they could pretty easily figure it out. But, yeah, Ben called in, and he just said that I believe the friend that was, backing her up, she didn't remember, and then she took, a couple-day recess, 6 days, to gather her thoughts. Then suddenly she remembered everything after, a little whining and dining and a little refresher course on what her memories are.
That didn't John McCain do that in the POW camp? We talked about that.
Oh, too soon, man. Too soon.
Oh, sorry. So we going to break?
Yeah, let's go to break.
Before break, I want to announce our competition that we're going in with.
Do it.
We're doing a promo to get more of you fuckers to call in.
In between now and next Monday.
We're doing between now and Monday. Is that we're giving them a week?
No, we're going to give them a couple weeks. But
right.
For those listening on the podcast in the future, because that's where the vast majority of our listeners are in the aftermath, you don't have to call into the show live like mystery caller just did. Because I know that might be a little stressful for some people. You don't have to do that. You don't even have to be ready for the live show. You can call in at any point in time in the week and leave us a friendly voicemail at 309-716-3818. And we're going to be doing a competition for the best voicemail left. And we have one that was submitted, which pertains to this last story and probably the next one. But, Craig, you want to give more details?
But they can't just be any voicemail. It can't just be like, hey, it's me just calling in. These got to be good. We got to get some primo content here. And
make them entertaining.
Yeah, because these will be aired. I don't want to make it more stressful for you, but we will air these, and we will be voting on which one is best.
If they're good. If you call in and say, hey, this is John Smith or John Doe, just calling in to say, hey, good job. We might air it. We're pretty desperate for content, but if it's any less than that, no. But we did have one person call in this week, this day, since we just posted earlier today. But you want to go ahead and listen to that, or you want to listen to it after the break?
I just wanted to announce that we will be giving away free stuff for the winner. We're gonna give away a copy of the mug that you currently drink out of, and we're going to autograph it.
Give away the AntiNews mug. There's an AntiNews one now.
Oh, okay then. There's an AntiNews mug. We will give away an autographed version of the AntiNews mug.
It's true.
So it might be worth something someday. So hold on to it.
We didn't discuss autographing it, and also a quick wash. We'll take that autograph right off. But
we're going to use Sharpie, and you should not put these through the dishwasher because it will be worth something someday. You shouldn't wash it at all. Period.
We'll use industrial Sharpie, like for shops. It'll last like maybe 3 to 4 washings in a dishwasher.
We did not discuss this because I literally just pulled that off the top of my head as I was saying it. So,
well, that's cool. I could ship them straight from the manufacturing company to them, but now we have to ship them here, and you have to come from Cedar Rapids to here and sign it.
That's fine. That's cool.
Okay, all right.
It's worth it. It's worth it for the content. It better be good content if you want the autograph. How about that?
That's right. So we do have one whole person who has signed up so far. Let's wait. Let's do it after. Let's make that be another teaser. Stick around to hear what your first voicemail message competition is.
Have you listened to it yet?
I have listened to it, and I have it queued up and ready to go when we decide to do it. But we're going to jump into intermission. If you do not have a drink, if you do not have a smoke, go get them. They are required for viewing of this show. You've got about 7.5 minutes, and we'll be back right after that.
This show is DARE approved.
Dare to keep kids on drugs. All right. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, this is Ole Damgood from Light on Conspiracies, and you are watching AntiNews Live.
Somebody used the N-word on this show. It is not okay. It is not okay, Charles Kaiser. I respect you. I enjoy having you on as a guest, but not okay. By the way, I've never heard of this, so there's that. Take a break.
It's intermission time. Time for refreshment.
DonorSee is the best way to give your money. We have an ever-growing network of aid workers living all over the planet. These aid workers use our app to take pictures of people in need, post them to DonorSee, and then fundraise. After you give your money, the aid workers then post photo and video updates to show you exactly how your money was spent, even if you only gave $1. Are you looking to make the most impact with your money? Give on DonorSee. Do you know an overseas aid worker? Tell them to start posting. It's easier to post a project on DonorSee than a picture on Instagram.
Why do people hate libertarians? One part of America calls them soulless robber barons who want to stick children back in factories, and the other part thinks they're drugged-up anarchists. Who are they? And why have regular Americans been told to avoid libertarians and their ideas? Hi, I'm Remso W. Martinez, Amazon best-selling author of Stay Away from the Libertarians, where I'm going to debunk the myths, misconceptions, and outright lies thrown at libertarians, ranging from the idea that votes can be stolen to the radical notion that you own yourself. From personal stories to ignored history, I lay out the facts and ask you if these dastardly libertarians are as much of a threat as the mainstream media and establishment politicians make them seem. You can go ahead and get a copy in print and in Kindle e-reader on Amazon today. Stay Away from the Libertarians by Remso W. Martinez. Available on Amazon.
Well, you know, obviously there's things that I don't feel led to share on a camera and have go out, because most people just wouldn't understand at least my willingness to be open about it. But I've suffered things that make me almost cry thinking about it.
Just can't believe he froze up.
I grew up on Houston, Texas, and I'm raised and born in Houston, Texas. You know, I'm born from a rapist. I don't know, should I say that?
Whether you are black or white or rich or poor, born or pre-born, all of us matter, all have value.
Why are we seeing such an explosion, literally, of occultism in the last 50, 60 years? Because we're hastening to the time of the return of Jesus Christ.
We have been so dumbed down in our theology. We don't recognize evil when we see it anymore.
And I'm about to turn off a light, and I look down, I can see a black figure crawling on the ceiling.
You know, I have a black demon that's ripping out my heart, that's shoving a poke down into another demon's mouth on my thigh. I have Medusa from the gates of hell on my back. I have a Baphomet on my throat.
I gotta go all the way back around, so...
Died. I don't know how I was still alive.
Oh, this guy just had a gun, just ready to just shot at us.
Dan?
Drug overdoses have now surpassed car accidents as the leading cause of death in the United States.
Declaring war on the nation's opioid crisis.
Even though you have a child with addiction, you have hope. You have a whole world of tomorrow, because tomorrow was the day that he said, I'm done.
We cannot afford to lose one life. We got to figure this out.
I met with sheriffs, I met with pastors, and sometimes they say they need more Bible studies.
You know, we used to think of drug epidemics centering on cities. The drug dealers are going where the money is, and that's the suburbs, also in the rural areas.
They all lie to us and say it's going to be better. It's not going to be better.
No parent should ever have to bury their child.
Anybody who's grown up in America has known people who struggled with it, may have had some struggles of their own.
Because toughness is the thing that they most fear. And that toughness includes the death penalty.
We will win. We have no alternative.
And now it's time for that part of the show where we give a big thank you and a shout out to all the beautiful men and women who support this show with their hard-earned and much appreciated dollars. We could not do this without you. If you would like to increase the value of your life and get your name on this list, just go to patreon.com/thesystemisdown and join the Downers Club.
I'm done, I'm pissed, and I'm not putting up with it anymore. You Satanists want to sacrifice the West. You want to kill the beautiful goddess that is the West. You people are enemies, and we're going to get your asses, and we know what you're up to, and we're coming for you. So I've had enough of these people. Okay, so I've been containing this for the last week. That's why I've been in here sweating, getting pissed, because I can't handle it no more.
Hey
Hey, this is Toby from Bad Christian, and you're watching AntiNews. Hey, this is Toby from Bad Christian, and you're watching AntiNews.
And we're back. Craig,
did it take Toby a couple tries?
Yeah, and I used both of them, including the in-between parts.
Oh, I like the puppy.
Yeah, it made it even funnier. Yeah. How was your break, Craig? How'd it go?
It's beautiful. It was beautiful.
All right. I assume the rest of you who are watching this live, you got your phones ready to call in while we jump into these next stories. If not, look down at the bottom of the screen. 309-716-3818. I'm sure that's really annoying for people who listen to this in the future, because they don't give a shit about who calls in.
That's kind of rude, and I don't like your vulgarity that you use.
I apologize.
I really think that we need to discuss the level of swearing that we do on this show, because my kids are right behind me listening right now.
Are they?
They're sitting on the floor. They're actually, their beds are just little mats on the floor behind me.
Craig lives in a one-room studio apartment, and his kids are sleeping right behind him.
What you can see right now is my home.
I mean, I have to ask if you're joking or not, because Kayla just texted me a little bit ago, and she's like, I just went into both kids' rooms, and I can hear you very clearly. So tone it down a bit.
No, my house is set up. It's a kind of a split foyer is what they call it, but it's got a basement with a garage in the basement, and the kids' room is far over the end of the garage, so there is so much dead space between, and I'm on the opposite end in the basement, and they're in the upstairs over the garage. So there's enough space that you can't even hear. I could be screaming. I think I've played my electric guitar like serious levels and haven't woke them up in this room before.
Yeah, well, like I've said, and I don't know why this is not sunken in yet, but I've recorded vocals in this room screaming like at the top of my lungs, as loud as any amp, and got her sleeping between here, and there's just a fake wall between us, but I go in and I'm like, hey, wake up. Just so you know, I'm going to be doing this, okay? And she doesn't remember any of it the next day. Nothing has ever woken her up, so I don't know what the problem is.
That fake wall literally is just the posters and the flag, right? There's not actually a wall behind there. You just hung up a bunch of, taped the posters together and draped them down, and that's your fake wall.
Pretty much. And as you can see, I threw another poster on it this last week. Pointing is hard when I'm reversed. I've got a solo poster back there. I was going over, Nathan is moving out of his house, and he was like, if you see anything you want, let me know, and we'll talk about it. And I was like, I want that solo poster, because I went on opening night, you went the week after, and you got a free poster at the screening, so screw you, dude. And he was like, well, I don't have a place for it. I was like, well, it'll be on my wall in the studio behind me. If you ever want it back, feel free to come and take it.
You can look at it every time you watch the AntiNews.
It will undoubtedly be taken better care of where it is right now than going through a move and then getting stored away somewhere and forgotten about for the next 10 years.
See, my opinion about helping somebody move, it's like being on an episode of American Pickers. You should be able to negotiate a price of anything that you help move.
Oh, it's true.
Like, I helped Mandy's brother move this past weekend, and he has in his garage, you might not even know this, I collect old radios and stereos and stuff. I've got some like 70s, full like speaker stereos with the receiver head and everything, and then I've got some of the small like mantle stereos on a shelf. He has these freaking awesome.
You're not a hipster? How? What?
He has I never said that. I'm smoking a handmade pipe talking about my collection of old stereos.
From tobacco that you grew in your closet.
That is not true. I haven't got that far yet. That is a dream of mine. But
you were talking about making your own vape juice last week, I think it was.
That is true. He found somebody gave him these old speakers. He doesn't have a stereo. He just has these old 1970s like 4-way speakers. There's like probably 5 different speakers because it includes a sub in it, and these things weigh about 50 pounds each. In good shape, I looked on eBay. They sell for like $500. They're just sitting in his garage, going to waste. And I'm just like,
yeah,
bro, I'll give you $20 for those. He's like, no, because they're worth more than that. I was like, I do, but you're not doing anything
throw them
with
away.
them.
So who cares?
He's not. He's a pack rat. They will probably sit in his new garage and do exactly. He's like, I'm probably gonna put something on top of them, use them for end tables. I'm like, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like
you're going to, like, if you plan to sell them ever, you're going to think about it for the next 10 years. You're going to plan to sell them on eBay or something for way more money, but then you're never going to do that.
Well,
like, do you want $20 now or $100 when you're dead?
The thing is, the speakers are blown, or one of the speakers is blown in it, and the wood's in rough condition, so he won't get a decent price out of them anyway.
Yeah.
But they will look really sweet with my stereo collection, and so I don't plan on selling them. I would just stick them in with the rest of my stereos. Right. But he is not keeping them. I'm just like, dude, we can come to a deal here. I know we can.
Craig.
They always do on American Pickers.
Craig,
they all
come back into it. That's what we're here to do.
What?
This isn't a pre-show. We got to get back into it, and we left him on cliffhangers. We got to at least give him the cliffhangers. Are you there?
All right, let's go.
All right.
I'm there.
So that's Craig's life. Somebody called in, like we said, and left us a nice, pretty voicemail. And if you're just tuning in, which I know sounds surprising, but there is 1 or 2 people that just tuned in since the intermission. So if you're just tuning in, we have a competition going on for the best voicemail call-in that is left that entertains us the most. It's a competition where Craig and I are the only 2 judges, and whatever we decide goes. But this is the first submission that was sent just today by name TBA.
Yes, hello. My name is Anonymous, and I would like to register a complaint against the host of the System is Down podcast. I believe his name is Dan Smuts. And the complaint I would like to register is that 15 years ago, I was in an art class with Dan. It might have been in 7th or 8th or 9th grade. I don't remember. We were at a table, and there were other people there. I think 3 people. No, actually maybe 4. No, 6 people. 6 people there. I'm sure. One of their names was NBC News anchor Brian Williams. He was definitely there. But anyway, Dan drew a penis on my paper. And this affected me for years. And I know it was him. I don't think it could have been anyone else because, no one wore eyeliner at that point in our lives besides Dan. So if you could air out this allegation, I would really appreciate it. I don't think Dan should be considered for the Supreme Court. Thank you.
All right, that's our first submission to the.
Can we? Are you gonna reveal who left these voicemails?
Do you have any guess who that might be?
I'm gonna say possibly John Schweppe.
100% John Schweppe.
Nice.
Sorry, John. I told you. He messaged me after. He's like, "Yeah, I didn't leave a name. I did it anonymously," and I was like, "Well, that's not gonna stick." But
no, absolutely not.
I can see your number, and I can see that you're Facebooking me. But
I like it. I like it, John or Anonymous.
Janonymous. Trenton Campbell says, "Can we fact check this guy?" Yes, you absolutely can. And we're getting a call. So, Craig, I'll see you in a second. We're talking to Andrew. How's it going, man?
It's going. What's going on?
Not much. Just here chilling, watching Craig's frozen face. How are you doing?
Doing great. No one can top John's John's voicemail.
Don't say that. We can't like call it a bust already. I mean, it was pretty good, but we've got some creative people around here.
I'm thinking about it. It's like, damn, that was good.
It was pretty good, and John knows me. He does know. We went to high school together. We did sit in the same art class. I probably did draw a penis on his artwork. Who knows?
You probably did.
I probably did. But
hey,
yeah.
Word of the day.
Yeah. You said the word of the day. Do you have anything to weigh in on the Kavanaugh or anything else we covered tonight?
It's bullshit.
By legal standards, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I was gonna wait until I was gonna wait until the after party for my unofficial co-host spot, and we could talk more about it.
Awesome.
But either way, my vote is for John.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, stick around and call in again on this episode if you want to, if we have time. But we'll see you in the after party for sure.
All right, bye.
Go, man. See ya. That was Andrew, and let me get Craig back in here. Craig, what's up?
Yeah.
So Andrew called in. He's talking about that last call. He was trying to say that, that anonymous individual, Janonymous, nobody can top that. So might as well call it a bust right now.
I believe people can top that. That was great. That was going to be a tough one, but that just means people need to step up their freaking game,
right,
and make some better calls.
It's a good start,
including Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calling you out. You need to step up your game and give us a good one.
Which, Andrew was talking about the after party. He's going to be there to co-host again. And if anybody else wants to co-host, y'all can do it. It's literally an after party that you all can be a part of. It's not just a call in. It's a call and be a part of the entire conversation as long as you want to. A situation.
Get your ass in here.
Yes, and to everybody else, call in now at 309-716-3818. If you want to be a part of the after party, go to TSIDpod. No. Patreon.com/The System Is Down. But yeah, Andrew, do better. You can do better than that. Anybody can do better than that. John does have a bit of a leg up because he did know me in high school. We did have an art class together. We did sit at the same art table.
You did sexually assault him.
There's a good chance I did draw a penis on his artwork. I can't say for sure.
Does he? He remembered more than she did though in the Kavanaugh allegations.
Right.
He actually knew when and where.
When he was like probably 16, 17, then she remembers when she was what, like
18
probably
or 19,
around the same age.
Yeah,
but still, he knows more about when he was not assaulted than you know about when you were assaulted.
Right, and that erases the lawyer's allegations that people who have nothing significant happen wouldn't remember any of the details about it. This very minutely significant 2018 would consider a sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
John remembered every detail about it, down to he probably remembers which table he was sitting at.
I remember which table we were sitting at. But he remembered that I wore eyeliner back in the day, which I did, and I don't mind saying because screw you guys.
You wore it to school?
I didn't wear it to school, so some of his facts could come into question here.
Oh, that's
might not hold up in court. That phone call might not hold up.
I do know because you had LaCroix for principal, right?
I did for 1 year.
Because LaCroix, the Nazi LaCroix,
hey man,
she had a very strict no guyliner policy because we did have one specific goth in our a couple grades older than me who wore like trench coats and wore eyeliner and stuff like that. He was specifically mandated not to wear makeup. And this was very post
SJW
Columbine
nonsense.
Well, this was post Columbine, so anything you wore that could possibly make you look like a possible trench coat mafia member, they forbade that.
So some things were worse back then, but nobody was outraged when a kid at a public school, a boy, was not allowed to wear eyeliner. Now, that kid could, and I'd say should, be allowed to wear eyeliner, lipstick, all the things that are normal for girls. They should be allowed to wear a dress, whatever. they can deal with the getting beat up on their own. But different time for sure. But yeah.
Getting back into it?
Yeah, real quick. Trenton says, I want to see the artwork ASAP.
Of course he does.
That's on Janonymous to present the artwork as evidence A that the act was even done. Even if legally, he remembers whether or not I was wearing eyeliner, if he can't present the artwork, he's got no case.
Legally, it is his obligation to prove the claims that he is accusing you of.
Yeah, and the real story, from my perspective, was we were in a class where we were studying human anatomy, and he couldn't remember how to draw a penis, so I assisted him.
What was the word? What was that word again?
Penis. He could not remember how to draw the veins just right, or Donald Trump's mushroom tip head. And so I was only assisting him. And he was like, this dude just drew a penis on my artwork. And I'm like, yeah, that's what you asked me to do. But anyway.
He was asking for it is what you're saying.
He was dressed for the occasion. No, let's get back into the news. We have very little time before we have to jump over to AntiNews. And again, Andrew is going to be there. So you can be there as well and be a part of the show by going to patreon.com/systemsdown. Craig, continue this story, please.
With no more ado, I give you the seeker of serenity, the protector of Italian virginity, the warrior of the women's womb. Hillary Clinton appears on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert to ask FBI to investigate David Kavanaugh.
In a 15-minute interview where she coughed for the first 10 and got in 5 to 10 words, which were Kavanaugh, democracy, women's rights.
Is that before she hacked up a slug into her water cup?
Immediately after, yeah.
As the nation continues to focus on contentious process to confirm Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court amid accusations of sexual assault, Hillary Clinton appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and called on the FBI to investigate the situation. Clinton appeared on Colbert's program Friday to promote the paperback version of her book. Not the hardback, she's promoting the paperback version.
You don't want to spend too much on it.
Those are filler words when they don't have a long enough article.
Guessing, just going out on a limb here and guessing, she doesn't have a hardback version. Just a guess.
So she was promoting this book and called What Happened, when the host grilled her on her thoughts with regard to Kavanaugh hearings. As previously reported, I'm not even going to get into that because we already previously reported it. Kavanaugh opened his discussion with former 2016 Democratic candidate for president by asking how she weighed the Kavanaugh controversy against the nomination of Merrick Garland, President Obama's Supreme Court pick in 2016, who never received a vote in the GOP-controlled Senate. That was, okay, really quick, that got kind of squashed because that nomination was like months before a new president was coming in, and the Senate thought that the new president should be appointing the new Supreme Court justice, not one who has 1 month left of duty.
Which I don't necessarily agree with. If that's the rule, then that's the rule.
Right.
Let him do what he wants.
But
it sucks,
in hindsight,
but that's what it is, and it's a stupid rule. But if it's the rule, then let it be the rule.
But in hindsight, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, I'm pretty sure the Democrats did the exact same thing when Bush was about to leave office and Obama was about to take over. So it's kind of a precedent that had been set. So they
just goes to show that we need term limits because these people are dropping like flies now, which means they were all appointed pretty close to each other.
So here's Hillary Clinton's statement. She says, "It's one of the reasons that I think a lot of Americans are just fed up with the whole political process, because in a democracy," I love when she uses the word democracy, "in a democracy, you have to have at least enough trust to be able to work with each other to solve difficult problems." Explain the word democracy, define the word democracy to Bernie Sanders, and then get back to me.
He goes on to say he's just there when they need him.
I'm just saying she's promoting democracy and all our democratic rights, but she single-handedly stole an election from Bernie Sanders. Democratically, obviously.
Right.
She goes on to say, when the Republicans refused to give a distinguished judge appointed by President Obama even the courtesy of meetings, let alone a hearing, that sent a terrible message. Now what they've done in this case is to hold back information. They have not provided all the information, which was always made available for other nominees, and they're trying to rush through to the detriment of the American public, who deserve to have answers to whatever charges might be precedented. She goes on to say, I'm hoping that at some point there will be an agreement to have an investigation. It would be very easy for the FBI to go back and finish the background investigation to investigate these charges. And maybe find out there's nothing to them, maybe find out there's something to them, but at least have that investigation completed. I think that's
every woman deserves to be heard, right, Hillary?
That's exactly.
Can we ring up Juanita Broderick in this conversation?
I know. I was going to get there. I think that's a fair request for due process to be asked for. Mm-hmm. I mean, who there was a person, I can't remember her name, who single-handedly bashed every woman who brought up worse allegations against Bill Clinton, former president, former governor Bill Clinton, of rape charges, of sexual assault and stuff like that. There was one woman that always bashed on these women.
That rings a bell.
I wish there was a person like Hillary Clinton back then who would support those women and demand justice to be had and for these investigations to be processed through, because that's a fair request for due process to be asked for.
Wasn't that Hillary Clinton?
Wait. I think it was Hillary Clinton.
That adds a new layer of complexity to the story.
I smell some hypocrisy. Do you smell that?
Smells. Let me smell over here to the left. Yeah, it does smell like hypocrisy to me.
Have an investigation. It won't take that long, she concluded. Let the investigation go forward. Present it, and then go from there. What is there to investigate? Because the woman doesn't know anything about it. Mm-hmm. And her friends around her don't remember anything about it. What do you investigate?
Right.
What evidence do you comb through? She keeps saying, "Oh, there's all this information that they're not making public." Maybe they're not letting us know all the facts, but the media, from what they're releasing, there is nothing out there to investigate, especially not at the level of a criminal FBI investigation.
Yeah. And we've got somebody, I think, new chiming in tonight who I've not seen in the chats before, but Julia Perlingos. Sorry.
You're terrible.
Sorry. Not good with names and, a couple drinks in, but Julia Perlingos says, don't get on Hillary's bad side. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for chiming in, because we know we've been following the Clinton.
We've been watching our backs for about 2 years now, or a year and a half now.
I've introed at least an episode or two saying, just so you guys know, I don't have any suicidal thoughts. I'm perfectly happy in my life. Let's continue. But Julia, thank you so much for chiming in, and feel free to call in at the number at the bottom of the screen over there. I feel like we've talked about so many stories tonight that have to do with sex, but we've not said the word of the day nearly enough.
Penis.
So how does that tie into the story, Craig?
Well, Hillary Clinton is saying that we should look at the evidence. We should comb over the physical details. We should study Brett Kavanaugh's penis to
comb through the evidence.
Comb through the evidence.
The hard evidence.
Oh gosh, we're bad. We are bad.
They're making a hard case against Kavanaugh.
They are. But can you imagine? If this doesn't go through, well, all the details she have are super limp, though.
Very flaccid details, in my opinion.
It's really flimsy case she has going on here.
Not very rousing, in my opinion, but
we should really plow through this case here.
Yes, we should. We should. That. I've got nothing.
I mean, to appoint Kavanaugh at this point would be a blatant assault on our rights.
I mean, hashtag Me Too. I agree. Me Too agrees with what you're saying. That certain things were touched on that shouldn't have been in what Hillary was saying.
Let's get a couple more stories in besides Brett Kavanaugh, because I didn't intend to spend the whole episode talking about Brett Kavanaugh. Let's get one more
story in, because we were supposed to go 6 minutes ago, so we're going to give guys a little bit of bonus, and I've got the perfect story.
Let's do it.
One that will really justify the word of the day. Batman.
Word of the day!
Batman goes totally naked in DC's mature comic line. Did you hear about this?
No. DC has a mature comic line, first of all.
Apparently they do. I think it's like, I mean, it's not like XXX DC, but it's like adult comics where whatever, like they use profanity and there could be some nudity if it comes up. I mean, it's not just like.
I mean, how do you, without including some real life crud, I guess.
I don't know, but Spags says hung jury in the comments. Anyway, jumping into this is the last one of the night for the main episode. If you want to be a part of the after party, which is where you can be a part of the entire call, or you can just view it on your own, and you won't be able to view it otherwise, you can go to patreon.com/the system is down. Jump in there while we finish this last story, and you'll be squared up and ready to go. It's already posted live, so you'll be able to click on it and join us right after we get off here. But jumping into the BatPenis, Batman goes totally naked in DC's mature comic line is the headline. This is coming from Screen Rant, so you know it's legit. Batman's newest comic has proven how mature. Hold on, let me pull up a screen share because I never used that button. Okay, here we go. Batman's newest comic has proven how mature it's going to be in just the first issue, with full frontal Bruce Wayne nudity. It's an incredible start to Batman Damned. Damned's dark supernatural story. That's the title, is Batman Damned. Just got to make that title edgy too. But make no mistake, it's Batman's fully exposed sidekick that is going to have more than just the comic industry talking. The buzz has been building ever since DC Comics announced DC Black Label, an initiative to unite the best writers and artists without limits, boundaries, or censorship. That's great. Cool. Whatever. Just break all the walls down, but realize what culture you're doing that in. And with Batman Damned, DC has definitely delivered. The story is only just beginning, but no matter how good it gets, it's already immortalized as quote, the comic that revealed Batman's penis. Ah, you said it. The word of the day.
Yay! Trent Campbell says they already censored his dong on the digital versions and in the reprintings. Damn it.
Oh, man, we missed the initial dong.
But can you imagine how much that one will be worth? Because there's probably a limited printing of it.
Well, yes, and continuing on, the promise of Black Label was instantly obvious, but excitement swelled further with word that
good choice of words.
With word that Batman Damned would launch the new imprint, reuniting the team of Brain Azzarello and Lee Bermejo. Damned was confirmed to be the spiritual sequel to their mature, disturbing, and acclaimed Joker graphic novel published in 2008. Even then, the comic's mature content and story stopped at nudity. So they've done this before. They've gotten edgy before, but not nudity. What this story does not cover, in this article at least, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think I am, but they've taken it back. It's been censored now. I've seen the pictures. I should show the pictures here. Hold on. Let me go jump back to screen share to make sure this doesn't exist on YouTube.
On here
we go.
Okay.
So here is what we're talking about. And the word of the day. Here's a buttocks. Here is a nice outline in the shadows. I think that's it for this. So there's basically like 2, maybe 3 pictures where it's like in the shadow, but you can kind of see the outline of his very circumcised penis. We've only revealed in all of this that Batman is Jewish.
Okay, I'm just now seeing. I had to pull up the actual live feed so I could see it myself.
Yeah.
Because I can't see what you're sharing. But wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
My question was going to say, is it erect or flaccid? And it seems to be
it's definitely flaccid.
A semi-flaccid state.
I mean, depending on what you're working with, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. And well, I mean, the real story is it's the very basic outline in the shadows, and you can see it. And that's a little weird that it's Batman. If it was somebody else, it would not be weird. But seeing Batman, in that form is a little strange. But apparently, the end of the story, which wasn't in this article, is that they just like filled it in with more shadows. I mean, it's just as easy. It's easier to take it out than it was to put it in. So they took it out.
It almost looks like, because from what I can see there, I haven't obviously read the comic, but from what I can see there, it's such an unusual addition to that part, like an unneeded section. It's almost like when people take and edit a picture for adult use, like take something and like add a penis to it, or
like
add
a nude fake or something.
Right. That's what it seems like there, but apparently it's legit. And like I said, besides, other than shock value, what was the point there?
That's it and only it. The fact that they can take it out within like a week of the outrage, just like gone so easy, means that it didn't have to be there. I don't give a shit if it's there, but
that's the definition of gratuitous nudity right there.
I guess. I mean, I don't really care, and I think that people, I don't even know which tribe was outraged about this or who gave a crap, because it's like a comic that is for adults, that has adult content in it. Who gives a shit?
Right. I mean, some things should be left to the imagination, though. Like, I've never sat back and wondered what Batman's penis looked like.
Yeah, and it's a little weird that, like, Batman came out, like, 50 to 60 years ago, and just now we're like, yeah, that's necessary. We've gone all this time without it, but this is what the people have been asking for. Let's throw that in there. It's a little strange.
Well, back in the day, like, I would say probably second generation comics, things started getting really dark and very graphic. I don't know if there's the nudity or not, but there was a lot of like sexualization of the comics, and it was
became humans.
No, it was just getting borderline raunchy, and they actually came out with like comic rules, like standards to live by that like the mainstream comics had to live by. I don't know the exact details. I'm not a comic junkie or anything, but I did read that at one point they did have to come out with rules that, hey, you got to clean this up a bit because this is getting out of hand. But apparently we're going back to those days, I guess.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, my final say on this is they totally did it just because it would have this reaction. They probably had the edited version already ready to go, but they knew that this would get a whole bunch of noise. Just like Eminem and MGK, they knew that this would blow it up, and now we have probably, 50,000 comic books in circulation that have Batman's penis that are worth $100,000 5 years from now.
It's like the people that are holding on to that Little Mermaid case that has the penis built into the castle, and they're thinking it's worth something someday. It's not.
At least this one is open and honest with what it's doing. It's showing a penis.
This actually is a penis.
Saying it's a penis, saying it's an adult content thing. Little Mermaid, that's a different story. That's a Disney talk.
That's pretty dark. That's pretty twisted.
Yep.
So.
Anyway, I think that's going to have to be where we wrap this main episode. Craig, any final thoughts on...
We need to extend this out to like 4 hours.
We pretty much always do, but I'm trying to keep it a little bit leaner because I got to go to bed at some point.
Oh, well, I got schoolwork to do too, but still, I'd rather be doing this.
I would rather be doing this than most things in life, but that does mean that I can. So to those of you tuning in thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us in looking at Batman's member. And
for members viewing only.
Yeah, just as a little reminder, call in, leave us a voicemail, because we're doing a voicemail contest. We're going to give away apparently an autographed copy of the AntiNews Live mug that is available in the System is Down's merch store at tsidpod.com/shop. You can get it not signed there, or you can stick around and leave a voicemail and win it. So please, within the next week, call in, leave us a happy voicemail at 309-716-3818. And we are going to jump over into the after party now. Craig just commented and said, there's a reason why Robin is called Boy Wonder. Cute,
that's because
Craig.
Shock Troop's last comment was, Robin never had to wonder what it looked like.
Boy Wonder. Curiosity killed the Robin? That'd be Catwoman. Anyway, whatever. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Craig, any final thoughts?
This is getting out of hand.
Any real final thoughts?
Oh, I'm glad we got to do this. Definitely get on, leave your voicemail, because it's going to be worth as much autographed as the copy of Batman's member will be worth someday. So easily. Let's step up your game. Let's get on here, people.
I might even draw on it a picture of a penis, because Janonymous right now is in the winning. So if it's him who wins, I will absolutely do
If
that.
he wins, we are definitely drawing a very detailed Batman's member.
All right. If you guys want to be a part of the after party, it's even more fun. And what was the word from the first story? I'm going to say shenanigans
and brouhaha.
Way more brouhaha in the after party, which you can join. Are you listening? Because this is happening right now. This isn't in like a day or two. This is happening right now. We're going to jump out of here right over into the after party where you can be a part of the whole conversation. Patreon.com/The System Is Down. The link is already posted in there, so go sign up for that and join the conversation. But if not, until next Monday morning and evening, ladies and gentlemen and downers and Z's and Zers and everything in between, Zoltan's robots and transhumanists and I don't know
cyborgs.
Who I'm missing.
You forgot
same
cyborgs.
thing, but toasters and inanimate objects alike, please question everything
and stay
uncomfortable.
Comfortable.
All right. We will talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.
Bye.